City Clerk, can you call the roll to establish a quorum?
Sir, Ms. Cora,
Present.
Mr. Kelly. Mr. Cove. Present. Mr. Mott,
Present.
Ms. Palestrini.
Here.
Mr. Robinson. Here. Mr. Reed.
Here. So we have a quorum. Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is anyone signed up to speak this evening?
Mr. Ellery signed up to speak.
All right, Mr. Ari, come on up to the podium.
Is this where you talk from?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well, I met the mayor or the president, which are you?
You can call me whatever you want. It's not late for dinner.
Showed him what we were doing and welcome to running of Hampshire. You know, Rundeck has been here 10 years now. We were in Elmhurst and I had great worries that I was making a terrible mistake. I didn't make a mistake. Hampshire is a wonderful place to work. It still has that country farm atmosphere that I just hope you keep it that way because we don't have to get very fancy. Anyway, it's Christmas and if you've seen Rowell Road, please drive it because I spent my last $1,000 on Christmas lights.
And it does look very nice. Yesterday we drove past, it does look very
And
nice.
it looks great. And the chief is here. So can I tell a story on you?
Absolutely, it's your dime.
So I get to work at like 2 a.m. That's what happens when you get your clock all haywire from working in India, 100-hour weeks. It was awful and flying was worse. Anyway, got back and I come to work about 2:30 in the morning. So my beloved police department stopped me on Allen Road. Did you hear this story?
Oh, I did.
You don't mind if I say it? I won't get in trouble, will I?
Go right ahead.
Anyway. So I
If
turned the
he
corner.
follows you out on the way home,
Yeah, be
What?
careful.
if he follows you out on the way home, know it was because of your story.
No, it ends better than that. So it's 2:30 in the morning and, you know, I'm getting up a little bit in years. So apparently I drifted over the yellow line, which I don't see any problem with that. I mean, you know, we own the whole road. There was nobody else there. But anyway, they stopped me and they said, sir, have you been drinking? I said, you know who I am. I'm 84 years old. I own a company and I work here. And they said, well, you drifted over the yellow line. So being a smarty pants, I said, well, you know, I can't see very good. And I had cereal in this hand and a spoon in this hand. And I was steering with my knees. And at least I didn't end up in the ditch. Anyway. The one young officer, he didn't think it was very funny. And then the gal, what's her name?
Shauna, Officer Davis.
What?
Officer Davis.
Anyway. So I told her the story and she was giving me I said, you know, I'm putting in all these lights and I have a good notion, just not put them up this year in protest. And then I said, maybe I'll cut the trees down because we put those trees up with no help from anybody else. Anyway, she said, oh, please, just see if you can make one more corner without drifting over the yellow line. So all ended up well. But we got a good police department and they got some great people. You know, are they perfect? Well, none of you are and I'm not. So. Anyway, oh, and the good news is we got a $600,000 payment from Bolivia for a job we have down there. Got it in this morning, and I got a severe writer's cramp because out of the 600, I still got 50,000 left. And a lot of very happy customers. So I'm here to tell you it's Christmas. Rotec is going to get some of the captains of industry and get I know that Mike has got some ideas to get the business community actively involved in the community. We don't need the government to help us. We don't need the police department to help. We just, we as business people need to recognize that in this world, the government is not going to solve the problem. And there are some really serious problems. And the church isn't going to solve it. I go to a big church. You remember those 5 kids that were murdered in Michigan? You know what they were singing fairy tales Sunday morning. It made me so angry. So I say to all of us, protect the kids no matter what. And as a community, teach them the love of work. I'm putting in 14, 16-hour days, and I'm plenty old enough not to. But my father taught us to love to work. And we need to focus on that in our schools, in our community. Okay, I gotta go home and go to bed.
Thanks
Good night.
Thank you for
Good night,
sharing.
everybody.
I thought he was taking us to the boat.
Okay. Thank you again, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And Chief, I'll try to watch that yellow line from now on, especially when you guys are looking.
If not, we'll be watching for you, it's okay. You're all right. If not, we'll be watching for you, you take care. All right? See you later.
Bye.
Before you have the meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2021 in front of you for your review. Please review them for any corrections or deletions or additions. If there are none, I will approve a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Or if you guys find
I
them.
have 2 changes.
Okay,
Under the voting of the consent agenda, I did not vote in the affirmative and abstain at the same time. So it's just an abstain for myself, and the same is true for the ordinance approving a levy and the assessment of taxes for service area 12 that was pulled out of the consent agenda. So my name under the affirmative should be removed.
are there any other changes to the meeting minutes for December 2nd, 2021?
The other one that I have is in the description of the consent agenda where it says that I announced that I noticed that there were items included more than the SSAs, and I probably would not have voted for the current consent agenda. That was part of what I said, but the reason why I brought it up is I had said there were items on that consent agenda that we had not discussed and that we were making motions to vote on. And the reason why I brought it up was because we had not discussed those items, and then Lori, Ms. Lyons, presented what those other things were and we talked about it. But that was why, or that's what I discussed.
We had some clarification in there, please, absolutely. Do you want that direct word for word, or are you good with deputy clerk kind of ad-libbing a little bit to have context to the next meeting?
As you so choose, sir. It does not need to be verbatim.
Any other changes or additions? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes with the changes that we just talked about.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Deputy Clerk.
Ms. Fodor,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Coe. Aye. Mr. Mott,
Aye.
Ms. Palastrellini,
Aye.
Mr. Robinson. Aye. Motion passed 6-0.
Okay, Mr. Hedges.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We would ask for your consideration of a resolution approving release of certain closed session minutes and authorizing the village clerk to destroy the tape recording of certain closed sessions.
This is what we met in closed session about not too long ago, and we all signed off on this, but we need a resolution affirming it. So if there's no discussion about this, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 21-18, a resolution approving the release of certain closed session minutes.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Are there any other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Deputy Clerk.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
I thought we were done.
Okay.
Mr. Coe. Aye. Mr. Mott,
Aye.
Ms. Palastrellini.
Aye.
Mr. Robinson.
Aye.
Ms. Fodor.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Mr. Hedges. Mr. Mayor, we would ask for your consideration of a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Hampshire Township Road District for snow removal operations. You have in your packet an agenda supplement prepared by Mr. Schuster and also the intergovernmental agreement. As you'll see on the attachment to the last page, it's roughly very close to 50-50. We'll be sharing plowing responsibilities so we don't have to stop in the middle of a road and let the township take over. This was done years ago, but it was only one way. The village is paying the township to plow some of our roads. This is the first time we'll be swapping, so there'll be no money changing hands, just sharing responsibility. And we'll start immediately after this meeting. The township has already approved it.
This is something that Mr. Walker and I talked about over the years. It was it's a safety concern for a lot of people where if you look at the colors on the map, our guys end up having to pick up the plow and drive over sections of road and then drop it again, leaving sections of roads that are treated at different times, and it causes a safety hazard. So as Mr. Hedges says, it's pretty close to 50-50. I did have conversations with Mr. Walker about it. He seems very happy about it. He was the one that kind of came up with this plan and worked with our public works, and everybody's on board for it. So with your approval, it'll go into effect. Okay? Are there any other questions about this?
Just one.
Sure.
Is it this whole, it's just ongoing until we change it or until one party pulls it? I mean, it's.
So this is
deadline.
as far as I understand, it's a 1-year agreement.
It automatically renews each year unless it's canceled.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it?
Okay, any other questions? Then I will entertain a motion to approve resolutions 21-19, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Hampshire Township Road District for snow removal operations.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Can you please call the roll, Mr. Deputy Clerk?
Mr. Coe. Aye. Mr. Mott,
Aye.
Ms. Palastrellini,
Aye.
Mr. Robinson. Aye. Ms. Fodor.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Awesome, awesome.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask your consideration of a motion authorizing staff to find insurance coverage offered by Arthur J. Gallagher, and I will defer to Finance Director Lyons.
Didn't we approve this already?
Mike.
When we went out for bids? Or we didn't go out for bid?
It was a year since we did these policies.
Oh, really?
Might be thinking of the health insurance we did. in this.
Well, we must have approved it already because the supplement says Mr. Magnuson.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm unable to share my screen. It's been nice.
Hey, here, swing it.
All right, well,
Do you have a presentation or?
I do have a quick, like 5 slides, but that's okay. We'll just wing it.
Let's pretend.
Okay, so, just briefly, we started our partnership with Arthur J. Gallagher in 2015. And we did that because of the increases in our premiums with the Illinois Municipal Leagues Risk Management Association. We saw an immediate savings of 19% over the prior year premium and 23% savings compared to the premium that was offered at the same time. Our current program includes package coverage, which covers our property, equipment, automobiles, trailers, general liability, public officials liability, employment practices liability, enforcement liability and umbrella coverage. We also have catastrophic equipment breakdown coverage, cyber liability, which you all may or may not be keenly aware of right now if you're doing multi-factor authentication. We also have a crime policy, which covers fraud or employee theft. And then we have, as statutorily required, workers' compensation insurance as well.
Working on this.
Probably the best slide on here was kind of a graphic showing what our coverage is, but essentially, general liability, law enforcement liability, public officials, insurance, employment practices, and comprehensive insurance covers up to $1 million, and then that umbrella shoots us up to the $7 million level. So it was kind of a nice graphic kind of showing how things line up that way. With respect to the actual marketing of our insurance, we do that approximately every 3 years. If we do it more frequently than that, there are only a very, very limited number of carriers in the municipal business. And so therefore, if you do it too frequently, you exhaust those that you do not accept their bids, and then they choose not to bid in the future. So this year, after a meeting with Arthur J. Gallagher and our broker, we actually, or they actually marketed to 3 different insurance companies that would have covered the bulk of the coverage. So in other words, that package coverage and those types of things. So our current carrier is Argonaut. It's a Trident company. If you're familiar with Trident Insurance, Argonaut is their municipal area. And then Liberty Mutual, which many of us have heard of, and also Travelers Insurance. They're all in the municipal market. Our current carrier came back with the best offer. And then Liberty Mutual indicated informally, I guess you could say, that the package premium would be around $135,000. So approximately $37,000 more than our current carrier, and Travelers declined to offer, feeling that they would not be competitive. So that all being said, our overall premium increase is 8.5%. Both our broker and his assistant, who actually does, I believe, all the work, if you know what I mean, felt very pleased about that. Overall, the insurance market is a very hard market because of construction materials, availability of parts, and everything else that we're experiencing in this world. Some people are seeing increases of over 20%. So 8.5 they felt was pretty darn good. So I'd like to amend the motion that's proposed on the agenda just slightly, because you're going to vote to either bind the coverage or tell me no, and then we'll have to go back to scratch, I guess you could say, but I don't recommend that. Our coverage does end on 12/31. And the only amendment would be to also approve the payment because the premium is due on or before December 31st.
So,
So,
Mr. Mayor, if you would just add the words "and authorized payment."
We won't have a meeting between now and then. The payment is actually. The total dollar amount is 100. Well, no, I'm sorry. Okay, but I can.
Let's just leave that number.
let's just leave it.
Yeah.
Authorize the payment. Because it'll show up in accounts payable next time, correct?
It will, it'll be.
Okay, so it's not that, yeah, I'm comfortable with that, because we have to approve it again next time anyhow. Okay, do we have any questions about the insurance?
I do. I'm looking at this 53% increase in the cyber.
I knew you were
part of
gonna,
it.
that's a
I
big
mean,
number.
that's just,
It's not though,
huge.
it's not though, and I can tell you because being in the industry, the amount of risk that's popped up in this last year alone, just based on cybercrime and hacking and all this kind of stuff, it's standard with what's going on in the world today. I mean, there was a hack that was announced yesterday that affects all a logging software that people have used and baked into their software programs for the last 20 years. It's just some kind of exploit, and it's so bad that it's so critical that there's people that don't even know their code to find this line of code for this logging software that they've had revisions for over 15 years. The exploits are coming harder and they're coming a lot faster. So, I mean, I can't speak to whether or not it would be more or less, but I can tell you the risk. I would tell you in the last 6 months being in this industry, it is something that these companies, insurance companies, are paying more and more dollars now because it's happening more and more with multi-million-dollar companies or small mom and pops.
If I could just add, that premium is increasing from about 3,500 to about 5,000 for that particular policy. So while it's a large percentage, it's not, the dollar amount is not that big.
I mean, and it's so much so that, I mean, with renewing the policy that you guys are going through the multi-factor authentication now, there like, it used to just be like a line item, like, oh yeah, we'll cover you if there's something that happens with your computer. Now there's a checklist in order to get and retain insurance for specific digital incidents and stuff like that. You need to follow these steps, like having a disaster recovery plan, multi-factor authentication and all this stuff, just to get the insurance plans.
And we have all that in place right now.
We're
So,
diligently working.
Multi-factor authentication was a requirement of our renewal. If we weren't going to do that, they would not renew us. And we just felt like we could not go down that path at all. We do back up in the cloud, which is a bonus. It's kept off the site. It's, backed up every night. One thing that we will be doing is testing our backup probably once a year, just to make sure that if there was a disaster, when we pull it back, it'll work. We did have to do that one time previously because somebody clicked on a bad email. It came in and infected every file on the server. So this is it happens unfortunately a lot. So I did send out, I don't know if you all received the email that I sent out a few weeks ago, even prior to that, about phishing, the kind of phishing emails that we're receiving. Somebody stood in my shoes with my name in this, like in the from section, and gave Mary instructions to wire an audit payment. It was like a $20,000 audit payment to a bank account. We conversed about it, fortunately, or she would have set up the ACH and it would have been gone. So these things it's really happening. It's really bad.
Do you report that to the police too? I mean, when that happens?
Well, nothing bad did happen, so we caught it. So no, we did not.
But there's a separate arm of the government that's for cybercrime and that kind of thing. And so you can open a case with the Federal Trade Commission a lot of times, with the Better Business Bureau. But even, I'm not going to speak for the chief of police, but even if they were to report it, there's so little that local law enforcement are going to be able to do, because a lot of these scam operations, and Mr. Rock is here as well, and he'll tell you that these out of the country, it happens so fast, and a lot of times it's hard to trace.
But do we have to report it for the insurance purposes to say, so in case something does happen?
I would say if it did happen and you did experience a loss, you would have to report it to be covered by your insurance. But
Okay.
as the mayor said, it's all overseas and it's quite a sophisticated run of information.
Okay.
I mean, it's like Kronos, who's a big timekeeper and payroll company. It's one of the largest in the country. They were just announced this week that they were in. It's one of the largest in the company, in the country.
So with the, on that track of cybercrime and the cyber insurance, is part of the insurance requirement that our staff go through yearly education or sign off that they've been educated on how to look out for phishing emails and scams and how to secure workstations and things like that? I know many companies require it. That's why I'm just wondering.
It was not a requirement. Their big requirement this year was the multi-factor authentication and specifically because they believe that the office products that are online are for some reason highly subject to fraud.
Well, it's,
Sorry.
well, the problem is they're the most popular. Like,
Right.
there's two big players on the market. There's Microsoft and then there's Gmail, right? So people don't have Linux because Linux isn't, I mean, they do, but it's not as prevalent as if somebody coming after like a Windows-based PC because it's got most of the market share. Same with the Mac, you know what I mean? They're gonna hit the big players. You're looking at me funny. Yeah, but they're gonna hit the big players in the market, and Office 365 and Gmail are like two of the biggest players.
Just, I could speak at length about this.
Not, this is the wrong.
Yeah.
You get old?
Yeah, it's soaking in.
If I may, email is kind of like mailing a regular letter. You put your name in the upper left-hand corner. If you're honest, it's your name. Nothing would stop me from mailing a letter and putting Santa Claus in the upper left-hand corner. So as far as the addressee, email is really not that much different. If you can go out and rent a motel room for 5 hours and blast out 10 million letters around the world, and if you get even a 0.001% return on that, that's all they're looking for, is just to send out millions of false emails, and if 2 people respond to the tune of $20,000, they make
Good day.
$20,000.
They put Santa on, they won't be getting nothing in their stocking.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I did just provide to the deputy clerk the dollar amount, so he has a motion whenever you're ready.
Okay, so do you want me to include the dollar amount?
Yes, please.
Okay. So do we have any other questions about the insurance or cybercrime in general? Because we can go on for hours about it.
You covered it.
Yeah, you pretty well.
Beat that one, okay. I will entertain a motion authorizing staff to buy insurance offered by Arthur J. Gallagher and authorize payment of $109,000, $109,000. Oh, for Christ's sake. $109,689.
Sure.
Please, can I try that over again, Keith, please?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Who made a motion? Do I have a first and second? All right, thank you. Any other questions other than I don't know how to speak numbers? Okay, please call the roll.
Sorry, was there a first and second?
There was no first or second.
Let's go with the reading of Mr. Monaster.
Oh, with a visual on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Fodor.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Coe.
Aye.
Mr. Mock.
Aye.
Ms. Palestrini.
Aye.
Mr. Robinson. Aye. Motion passed 6-0.
Mr. Hedges, bail me out here.
Thank you. We would now ask for your consideration of a motion to approve a change order for the final pay request for the Highland Avenue Storm Sewer Project. Mr. Paulson, would you care to summarize this for us, please?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. So if you recall, the Highland Avenue storm sewer improvements were completed last fall. Restoration was completed in the spring, and we're just at this point closing out the project. So we have a change order, which we call a balancing change order. So we account for all the quantities, the unit quantities that were used, any additional ones and ones that weren't used, so that the end total amount of the contract is equal to the amount that we're going to pay the contractor. So the change order results in a reduction of the contract total just over $22,000. And so we're asking for the board to approve the pay estimate and pay the final amount of $6,726.19, which is the remainder of the restoration, and then release of the retainage on the project.
And that information is in your packet on page 27.
Anyone?
I have a question. When was the punch list completed on this project?
It was completed in, over the summer.
June, July, August?
I don't recall exactly. Yeah, July maybe, June or
Okay.
July. And then, there was paperwork and then delays and me getting stuff to them and them getting stuff to me. And so now we have all the paperwork in order, and we want to close it out.
Is this typical to run 5 months behind after completion?
No, we would usually try to do that more expediently. But like I said, there were There was, time when, I got them some draft documents and they didn't get back to me. And then, they got me some information, required some minor changes that, and after some back and forth and some pauses, we finally got everything, together at the end of November to put this together for the board meeting.
Thank you.
Who provides the initial estimate for the materials and the work to be done on a project like this? Is it BEI as the main engineering firm? Is it the contractor?
We provide an estimate before we go out to bid. And then, the contractors make their bids. And so then the contract price is based on the bids from the contractor, and the cost for all the unit costs are based on what the contractor has bid.
But the number of units for each line item is determined by the project developed by EEI.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct?
So, there's some line items that weren't used at all on this kind of projects. There's, you try to anticipate the unknowns. You don't want to spend a lot of money up front, say doing a lot of soil boring. So you put some quantity in there in case you encounter bad soils and have to, remediate them. In this case, those kind of line items didn't get used at all. So that is, a big reason why there's a reduction in cost of the project.
And is a 25% overall reduction pretty typical?
No, it's more than typical.
It is typical, or is not typical?
It's probably more than typical. It's not out of the realm of what we see, especially on a small project with a lot of where there's unknowns, and we don't want to do a lot of soil testing, et cetera, up front. So, for example, the Julie Lane resurfacing project that we just completed, that's going to come in very close, because when you're just removing asphalt and replacing asphalt, there's not as many unknowns you want to try to account for in your quantities.
Just the reason why I asked, and maybe this isn't the place for it, because it's not determined on this, but if we look at larger projects like State Street, let's say, it's $1 million or $2 million project, and we overestimate materials or needs by 25%, there's a chance the board may say, or the village manager may say, we don't have funds for something like that. And we end up not doing a project that maybe we could have done, or it affects our budgeting, that when Mrs. Lyons is looking at what could we afford to do. I'm glad to hear 25% is not typical. It's a little concerning that it was overbid or overestimated at that rate. And I guess I would just ask that maybe we get a little closer next time.
We'd certainly rather have them come in under than over.
Absolutely. I think that's a great thing.
90% of the time, the engineer's estimate is what most contractors are coming, they're all gonna be around it.
Right. Well, I mean, for the materials and stuff is what it is. And then it sounds like the contractor says, here's my cost for each of those things, right? So the cost they can't control, but the quantities and what's needed for the project. No, I agree. Under is way much more preferred.
Any other discussion? I will approve a motion to approve a change order and final pay request for the Highland Avenue Storm Sewer Project.
So,
Questions or comments? Can you please call the roll, Mr. W. Clerk?
Mr. Mott?
Aye.
Ms. Paulson?
Hi.
Mr. Robinson?
Aye.
Ms. Fodor?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Cook? Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We now ask you that you consider an ordinance establishing, a motion to accept the 2021 municipal compliance report regarding the Hampshire Police Pension Fund. Ms. Lyons?
Just really quickly, this is kind of a statutory requirement. As you know, we've already passed the levy, and the village does not have a line item, or so we do not have a levy for police pension fund. So this, rather than actually being used for levy purposes, will be used for budgeting purposes. But you have the report, which includes the condition of the police pension fund as it stands as of April 30th, 2021.
when are we going to the state? When are we all?
That's a really great question. So fire is well above and faster than police, I'll say that. That we recently received some information regarding, the potential of sending the money as soon as March of 2022. However, they immediately retracted that, and so, they just don't have their act together yet. It's quite a process. So they've selected their fiduciary, they've selected, I believe, their advisors. But they're just trying to figure out all the logistics about getting this $9 billion, I believe it is.
And we have to do it, right?
Yes, there's.
So
no
their
option.
actuary is gonna potentially be able to have a better return of 1%.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, that's the police pension fund, the Hampshire fund, because it's so small, is very limited in what statutorily it can even invest in. And, when you get $9 billion together, you reach their parameters where you can do whatever you want. So, and not whatever you want, but within the statutory requirements. So yes, our investment returns will increase tremendously.
We have 16 years left, right? No, 18 years.
2040.
We have the 90% funded. Do you have a timeline that shows what our predicted payment schedule would be over those next 18 years?
So we do have something similar to that. However, we've been really inconsistent. So our police role, if you will, has changed over the last 3 years. At times we have young officers and, it's looking better, and then we hire laterals and it looks worse. We have, if we were to get a disability, it changes everything. So we're so small and have so many changes that I can provide you with that information, but it's not.
Reliable.
Yes, reliable. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? I will entertain a motion to accept the 2021 municipal compliance report regarding the Hampshire Police Pension Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Deputy Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Palastrellini?
Aye.
Mr. Robinson? Aye. Ms. Lawler?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Coe?
Aye.
Mr. Mott?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, we would now ask your consideration of an ordinance establishing special service area number 29 for the TRZ NCI Shared Stormwater Management Facility. You recall that the public hearing for this SSA was held here at board level 60 days ago. And you might also recall that the general manager of NCI appeared before you and made comments that night, but was actually not very well informed. So this is now ready for your final action. If you have any questions, Mr. Schuster would be happy to answer. And you do also have an agenda supplement on page 53 of your packet.
There's not much to this, other than we have to do it, so. Does anyone have any questions or discussion about this? Or should I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 21-60 establishing special service area number 29 for the TRZ NCI Shared Stormwater Maintenance Facility.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I just have one. We had talked, when the one gentleman was here, he was talking about not having access to be able to get in because the gate was locked. Has that been resolved? If he has access to get in?
There's a written easement agreement between the two parties.
And I know the gentleman that was here was not the signing party. It was a family member, I thought.
He was not the right person. He was poorly
Okay.
informed, and he did.
Okay,
The answer is that Stanley will, TRZ will be maintaining it under the agreement. If there's any problem, then they can take it up. NCI can take it up with TRZ. We don't expect.
But I've seen the easement agreement, so they negotiated how to take care of it. And we had to overlay this SSA, so these questions really aren't to the village. They're to
okay.
Mr. Zaska and his own attorney. But those are recorded documents, so it's in place.
Any other discussion? Mr. Deputy Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Robinson? Aye. Ms. Fodor?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Coe?
Aye.
Mr. Mott?
Aye.
Ms. Paulson?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0. Thank you. We would now ask for your consideration of a motion to approve a letter of credit reduction for request for the District 300 school at Oakstead. You also have information in your packet about that from AEI. If you have any questions, Mr. Paulson will be happy to answer. This is obviously just progress on the project, which you can see is moving along very rapidly.
Mr. Paulson, is the project 70% complete?
Excuse me, the public improvements that are bonded for are complete as documented. They basically have done everything but the surface on the roadway. They've done all the water and storm sewer and the detention basin and sanitary sewer. They haven't paved the, the parking lot and completed the building, obviously, but those are not part of what's covered under their bond.
So the project is complete, that's covered under the bond.
Yes, as noted in that, there are some items that aren't completed, and so the items that they have completed, we're reducing the value, recommending a reduction of the value of those line items at 90%. So we hold 10% until the project is fully completed and goes through the full punch list process and 1-year maintenance period before the remainder on those items would be released.
Okay.
Any other questions? And I will entertain a motion to approve the letter of credit reduction request for the D300 school at Oakstead.
Move. Second.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Deputy Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Fodor?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Coe?
Aye.
Mr. Mott?
Aye.
Ms. Paulson?
Aye.
Mr. Robinson? Aye. Motion passed 6-0.
Chief.
Hi there. All right, just give you kind of a summary of what we've been doing this, mainly over the past couple of weeks. We are well deep into our training of the 2.5 officers we just acquired. So that's a daily process for 2 shifts at least. And happy to report, very pleased with the progress with each and every one. In fact, some of them beyond my expectations. So I think we hit it out of the park on these guys, and hope with what we have in place, we'll make this their home for quite a while. We were also moving ahead on our schedule change to the 12 hours. And that is something that I feel that we have been antiquated many years in staying with the 8-hour shifts and the permanent days off throughout the weeks for a whole year. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to what they have to bring to us. As far as our activity, as you can see, it's pretty much steady from month to month. Nothing's really blowing off the charts. We have had a couple very serious accidents in the area over the past couple weeks. 'Tis the season, unfortunately. There's no road chemicals down, and there's obviously more traffic with people coming and going and everybody going back to work in schools. Other than that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Good job.
These are all tickets,
What were you referring to?
citations, all the,
Some of them could be warnings, but most of them are tickets.
okay, next question.
Is the 92 village parking tickets out of normal?
I'm sorry, what?
The village parking ticket, probably the overnight parking.
Page 7.
That's the overnight parking.
That's the overnight.
Yeah, once that goes and people get more accustomed to it and acclimated, they'll drop off. Obviously, in the spring, that goes away, our parking tickets go down. So that's seasonal.
Thank you very much for the information, Chief.
Thank you.
Mr. Paulson?
Yeah, so my report is in the packet. A couple highlights: the connection water main is getting ready to go out to bid. The Route 72 water main repair. The services have been switched over. The new water main is in service, and they should be cleaning that up tomorrow, first part of next week. Otherwise, if there's any questions on anything, please let me know.
Mr. Montgomery was very excited that that new water main went into service. He'd suggest the village public works go out and get a Bloody Mary and bill it to our account.
He did give an invalid account number.
I was happy, he's happy.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't happy about some of the missteps with the contractor, but we're gonna be handling that.
Yes, we are taking care of that, and also remind some of the newer board members that this line is broken an average of 2 to 3 times per year for the last 5 or 6 years. We finally got around to the point where we have the money to engineer it, do it properly, and it's not good. They did have some restoration issues, but the V-box exploded overnight when it got down to 7 degrees that one night. So, causing inconvenience for our dental office, but that's being handled.
There's still a lot of construction equipment out there.
That's also being addressed.
Okay.
Mr. Paulson was informed of that today, and he'll be taking care of that tomorrow.
I appreciate everybody's efforts, and I'm glad we're moving forward. Okay, accounts payable.
We would ask for a motion to approve the December 2021 accounts payable to personnel in the amount of $144.64.
Does anybody have any questions about the $144?
The packet says 189,760.
That'll be the next motion. That's for the total.
Oh, 144. Okay. I apologize. I thought she said 144.
That's okay.
That's why I
can make at least one of those.
Sorry.
I will entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable to personnel for $144.64.
Second.
Question, comments? Mr. Deputy Clerk, can you please call the roll? Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Coe?
Aye.
Mr. Mott? Aye. Ms. Palastrellini?
Aye.
Mr. Robinson?
Aye.
Ms. Fodor?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you. We would ask your approval of a motion to approve the consideration of the motion to approve the December 2021 regular accounts payable of $189,765.72.
Does anyone have any questions?
Very good.
If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $189,765.72. Can I get a second? Any other questions or comments?
I just have one about page 92, hazardous trees.
Unfortunately, very routinely, the village is required to remove hazardous trees that are in the parkway that are in danger of falling and injuring either pedestrians or vehicles. So that's,
Okay.
If I could just add to that point since you brought it up.
Yeah.
We all know that we had some really severe wind yesterday. And I was surprised, and I'm sure the mayor was too, that I hadn't received an update from Dave by 7 a.m. this morning. So I called him and he said, we're really taking good care of the parkway trees because we're trimming them properly, taking good care of them. We really didn't have any downwinds at all. So that's just good.
And more importantly, our Christmas tree out front stayed up.
Yes.
And there were a lot of towns between here and Wisconsin that their Christmas trees stopped. So great job of the Public Works for designing a stand and securing it in the way that they did. Because that's 2 windstorms, I was concerned that that tree was going down.
You guys use something?
yeah.
Or you get a little faint.
No.
Horrible.
That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so I have a first and a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Deputy Clerk, can you please call the roll? Mr. Coe?
Aye.
Mr. Mott? Aye. Ms. Palastrellini?
Aye.
Mr. Robinson? Aye. Ms. Fodor?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0. Trustee Kelly, you're up.
The only thing for the BDC is right now, it looks like the first meeting in January, which is usually the second Wednesday, will move either the day before or the day after. Commissioner or Chairman Krajewski is working with the committee to find which of those 2 days works best for everyone. And we have a new date.
Just have a date of 13, 6:30,
Happened right as we were meeting.
just minutes ago
Perfect. There's your new date.
from Mr. Kurjacki.
And then, is there any questions for BDC?
Where, Mr. Corey, wants to be involved with the group that Ms. Traska is working.
The ambassadors, yes, I think that'd be a perfect fit for him, so.
Yeah.
I'm
So
Great.
we're gonna connect the dots. Public relations.
We had a meeting on December 9th, which we discussed a whole bunch of things, our progress on our midterm and long-term goals. And we also discussed the upcoming newsletter, looking forward to seeing that in January water bills. And our next meeting should be on January 27th, during the schedule.
Mr. Coates.
Light report, we're ready for snow. Public Works did a great job on the parade, the tree downtown. And everybody at Public Works wishes everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy, safe New Year. And we need a rubber tire on the stand under the stocking.
And get that letter.
Yeah, we need to get that letter.
Yeah, that letter needs to
Santa.
send. Ms. Palestrini,
No report.
new business or other announcements?
Yes, wonderful job on the holiday event by Ms. Vasquez, who coordinated most, but isn't here to.
Well, you can accept praise, right? Because you're the deputy, right?
No. Yeah, but it was amazing. I've got nothing but good comments from citizens and wonderful job by everybody that took part. Secondly, I don't know if you're all aware, this is kind of breaking news. Spoke with the chief earlier, he is aware. There has been a viral TikTok threat to pretty much every school in the nation for tomorrow. I've gotten an email from my child's district, my own school district. It's all over the news. There is potentially school shootings and bomb threats at every school in the USA, even elementary, as the post reads. So, as a nice segue from Bob from Rotec, take care of the kids. Thank you in advance to the chief. I know you guys are out every day protecting those kids at the elementary schools, the high school, the middle school. Thank you so much. And to everyone else, if you see something, pick up the phone and call 911 immediately. Say something. You can't. Time is of the essence in these things.
Yeah, don't post it on Facebook and expect us to respond from Facebook. If you see something, say something. Doesn't cost you anything. 911, we'll figure it out, but let us know.
Yeah, report things the correct way. Follow the process.
Absolutely.
Call 911. We don't know if this is credible or not, but
We
let's
talked,
not take chances with our kids.
we talked at the last meeting. Facebook is good for a lot of things, but it's not the official way to get something done,
Right.
especially in times of safety.
Yeah.
Okay, any other new business? I would just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We've been at this about 7 months and it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's been a lot shorter, but we've had a lot of fun together and I look forward to having more fun as the year progresses. Thank you all for participating and allowing us to do the parade and the holiday fest the way that we did. I think it was a really big success, like Trustee Robinson said. Had a lot of fun. It was really cold in the back of the truck. I understand it was really warm in the plow truck behind me.
Yes, it sure was.
But it was really cold standing in the back of the pickup. It was a lot of fun and Santa Claus was probably.
He froze his ornaments.
The food donations, was the truck supposed to pick those up?
Yeah, so he did. I don't know if he missed some or what,
Yeah,
but
That's okay.
you were missed last year too, if I
That's
remember the guys by doing that, but they brought out 10 containers
Oh, good.
and they
good.
filled 8 of them.
Great.
So they were really, really impressed and they said,
Okay.
count us in for next year. And I liked it because I didn't have to jump in and out of the back of the truck.
No,
this year.
let's have a plan communicated, like, what do? You hold them out, what do you know?
Yeah,
So residents know, because I'm sure there was probably another 10 could have been filled.
yeah, well, that's, like I said, this was, year 2, and I was pretty excited that we didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
And they had their own volunteers, and they had a big band, that said food pantry on the side, so that was exciting. So, yeah, and they said count us in for next year, so we'll plan
Yeah.
around it.
If I could, I just want to say thank you so much to Public Works.
Yes.
They did a phenomenal job of getting everything set up, getting the tree put up, getting all our trucks decorated. It was outstanding. And then from the conversation I had in that very warm truck, it was a matter of, sharing that the guys, they really enjoyed that. It was something that they really wanted. They're excited to do that type of stuff around the community. And I just wanted to just express publicly how we really appreciate that they're willing to do that as well. And it kind of, you're part of the community and you could just really feel that. So,
The amount of smiles and stuff
Yeah.
that came when you get to see the trucks all decorated and.
Oh, definitely.
exactly. The one thing though,
And
for
the
being
unloader
so
would be
up high in
all
that
lit
very warm truck, is that, and I know, they did not put, for this very reason, they didn't put the plows on those trucks and stuff. But the kids jumping in to go get stuff, and that was my first time in a very big, warm truck. And as the kids were jumping in, honestly, Bill was fabulous and he was prepared for it. He was going super slow and stuff. And it was for that very reason. He wouldn't have been able to see them had he had that plow up there. So, I don't know. I know they all enjoy the candy and stuff, but this is a different parade because it's at night.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hate to say no candy, but having the kids jumping in, to get that, and some of them had parents right there and some of them didn't and stuff, but it's Public Works driving is one thing,
Sure.
but businesses jumping in that are not usually in parades, I don't know. I was uncomfortable with it, but Bill did a fabulous job.
I think having
So-
a police car at the front of it and keep the speed as slow as possible
Yeah.
was a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we talked about this a couple of different ways, right? So we did the parade route to go through the neighborhoods and stuff last year.
Mhm.
Because at that time, we weren't supposed to be getting together in groups, masked or not, right?
Mhm.
And so that's why we did it the way we did. This year, we did it because, again, with the variants, and there were some people in town that feel that they don't want to get together in groups and stuff, whether it be outside, inside, or anything. So it was more of a comfortable situation. Here's, one of the talks or conversation that Mr. Hedges and I had was, as Coon Creek's talked over the years about changing the parade route and stuff that they do for Coon Creek. One of the ideas, and again, we've got a year, right, or we've had until at least till August, but one of the ideas that we kind of thought about is maybe we come up with a standard parade route and say that this is what, if you're gonna do a parade in the village, this is the route that you follow. And the reason for that would be stuff like police blocking intersections and stuff like that, instead of them having to go from one side to another. And everybody has a standard route to go, number one, so that would address some of it. And number two, you bring up a valid point about, the kids and stuff. That's just the hard part about going in and out of the different neighborhoods too, because, we were fighting traffic coming the other way. Cars were getting into the middle of the parade because they were impatient, didn't want to wait for it to pass and stuff like that. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity to grow, and we're a year away from this event, right? It's assuming that we do it again, which I assume we will, and we've got until August to figure out the other part of it. So I think it's awesome.
You have to remember the hook and ladder
Yeah.
has to go down certain streets because of the height and the
Right,
wires that are hanging low.
right,
And for people that are impatient and jumped in the parade to try and get through, oh, well, it goes on for 2 hours a year.
right,
If they don't like it, don't drive.
right.
Candy, you shouldn't be throwing candy at night.
Dundee does an
But-
excellent job with their Christmas parade. They
People
right
complain.
down 72, from
Please
west
don't
to
shoot.
east. Then they go north into the downtown east of the area, same route.
Yeah.
Maybe we look into something like that,
Yeah.
down State Street the whole way, or
Mhm.
Yeah, just the fact that it was dark,
No,
that's,
I-
I don't have any problems with it during the Food Creek or any of those. I think candy's important and kids love it and stuff. This is dark. Part of the streets, there's not a lot of light, so it was really dark.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, good positive feedback, stuff to learn for next year, right?
Yep.
All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Merry Christmas.
All right, Mr. Deputy Clerk, who did a fantastic job tonight. Call the roll for the last time.
Mr. Robinson. Aye. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Great job.
Nice job.
My kids are coming to me. So.
Those are done, but yeah. Have you done it already? Good job. Bill. You did.
Good.
Things would be over. I don't know.